Welcome to Kill Your Algo. I'm Bob with Bill and Jeff. Thank you. So we had homework last week. I'm excited to talk about this because I looked into it in quite a level of detail. And, uh, the homework was effectively, can you train AI to act as your journalist or at least a oracle of truth or something like that? And if so, what would a prompt look like so that anybody else can train their AI to be as objective as possible? So let me kind of set it up with this because I was explaining this to my wife, and this will act as sort of a good setup anyway. I was explaining this whole idea to my wife. And one of my tweets of the week is about David Ellison taking over pretty much, a quarter or a third of the media.
Is that
Like
the Bernie one?
yeah, that's exactly it. So I hope I don't steal your thunder.
No, not at all.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about, so this is great.
Oh, this is great. Yeah, perfect, right?
You're gonna love Bernie Sanders. He's a senator from Vermont.
Yes, I know who.
Start at the basic level.
So what's funny is I went in and I called mine. I call it two things. It's a project in my ChatGPT called Fact Finder, and I have a mode I created, and I call it TB mode, not for Tom Brady. Which afterwards, when I had to type that in a few times, I was like, oh, okay. For Tom Brokaw, it was my Tom Brokaw mode. So
We can't use Brian Williams. We know that. That's a whole nother rat hole that we can
right. I think he got jammed up, but that's a whole different situation there. In a world where Jeff, you're not going to, one of the early episodes, Bill, we graded our news broadcasters. What do you give CNN? Jeff, it was low. What do you give Fox? I was low, etc. So this whole corporate ownership of media isn't going away, and certainly neither is the distrust we all have for quote unquote the other side's news sources. So we're either stuck in this hellhole of misinformation and mistrust forever, or we offload it to a relatively objective third party who used to be journalists, right? But obviously, AI, I think, is potentially really interesting if used correctly on this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of the setup. And for what it's worth, two people responded on our social feeds about can AI act as a journalist, and they both said no. So I think there's acting as a journalist in terms of going out and putting the pieces together, and then there's reporting stories with journalistic integrity, which is probably a better way to just.
One thing I'll comment on, Bob, you said that this is kind of what we're stuck with. My impression, unless it's incorrect, would be let's say that you get a Justice Department that wants to break up monopolies, then in theory you could force, like a conglomerate of a bunch of different news sources, force them to break it up. But then again, he's going to have to make money in market value. It's just going to get sold to another billionaire, and then you just have.
Yeah, you're not going to buy that asset sorry to interrupt you, but you're not going to buy that asset without the expectation of making a return on it, right?
Yes.
So
unless you're rich and you don't care about returns, and then you just want to buy a newspaper like Bezos or
yeah.
All right. So here's the relatively short prompt that I asked my AI to do. Now the actual prompt is quite large, but effectively it says you are an evidence first news analysis. Obviously, this is something that anybody could do with their own AIs. You are an evidence first news analysis or analyst. Mm-hmm. Analyze the article or text I paste below using the following framework. Your goal is to identify verifiable facts, separate them from inferred, and evaluate the strength of the claims.
And which AI did you use, Bob?
ChatGPT. Do not assume claims, distinguish between fact, inference, and speculation, identify missing context or date, highlight where sources are anonymous or secondhand, and avoid partisan framing. So I've been running a bunch of different articles through what I call Tom Brokaw mode. And it's been interesting because it actually reads really bland. You know what I mean? Because there'll be a story and it'll talk about, it's unnamed sources, which any political story, there's always an unnamed source, right? Like unnamed sources, credibility is low, right? But then I thought a little bit further about for the fifth or sixth time, I was copying and pasting it into this particular project folder. It's like, this is dumb. Like, why isn't there like a dashboard or a front page newspaper that basically aggregates this information and puts it forth with transparency about what are facts, what are inferences, and what are opinions? And further, if they were to actually communicate real stories as opposed to, sensationalizing whatever it is du jour, things that actually matter. And so I asked ChatGPT to build that, and it did.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
We're saved.
Yeah, we're saved. But in all honesty, what it taught me is that like the keys to our freedom are in our own hands, right? We're stuck in this media environment, but there are tools available if we know how to use them to help us sort through the chaos. I mean, isn't that what AI was designed for anyway? Sorting through the chaos?
I was trying to get back to lycos.com, right? As a homepage for
Jeeves.
Right?
facts.
So I thought it was I thought it was an
Justice
interesting kind of experiment, right?
Yeah.
Because I always thought about, wouldn't it be cool if newspapers, like on the front page of the newspaper, it was the same every day, and it had the actual important stuff, right? It wasn't whatever. It was like, okay, here's what the stock market did, right? Here's what housing prices, here's where interest rates are. Like, here's how, but that's fine. That's dashboard metric stuff. But other things like, here what bills are under consideration in Congress currently, right? Here's what they passed, here's what they voted down, right? And it doesn't have to be like, here's a hot opinion take on it, right? And it doesn't have to be nor should it be, oh, it was
to make money though. So
it was 61 to whatever the math is, 39 in the Senate, Republicans and Democrats, and just say, no, it was just 61-39. You know what I mean? And because those are the facts, right?
Definitely off that, I heard an interesting interview with the guy who runs Yahoo now, which Yahoo, has been divesting a lot of their, I mean, at this point they just do fantasy sports as far as I understand, but they had a bunch of other things they did over the years. And he's kind of came from Ask Jeeves. He's been in the internet space a long time. And the guy was asking him, it's actually from the Decoder podcast, which, the guy leans a little the opposite way of me, but I enjoy listening to it. And he was talking about just the business of, news, and basically like his theory, which I agree with Nilay's theory, which is that social media companies just figured out that users would make news for free for them and they don't have to pay any reporters or content or anything. And they just get clicks, and that's an easy way to make money. And so then the Yahoo guy agreed and said, yeah, he's been, slowly divesting actual news reporting. He doesn't want to compete with anybody that has like reporters at the White House or any of that. He wants to not be anything to do with that business because of the money. It's just not a moneymaker.
Yeah, but that's what it all comes down to, right? It's like, well, we're not supposed to, it never was designed to be a money-making operation, more so than it was just like a public service almost, But now it has to be money-making, and now guess what gets the short end, right? The public servant.
Yeah.
Well,
totally.
what changed? Why does it have to be money-making now and it wasn't money-making before?
I think there was, that's an interesting question. I don't really know.
Blame it on labor
I
costs
have
like
to-
we blame everything else?
No, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of that, but I think you know what? I can give you the economic MBA reason for it, or I can tell you probably what it really is behind all the bullshit.
Yeah.
Is rich people bought these up because they knew if you controlled the media, you control the narrative for the country.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's what Rupert Murdoch did. Right. That's what Elon did with Twitter. Right.
Got Twitter.
Like,
got X.
yeah.
Bezos
Yeah.
has
So
Yeah.
Who's got the time?
I think there's
Times?
a laundry list of reasons, but I suspect
Is that
that's
the LA Times? Is that the guy that it's the rich guy that wouldn't endorse a president and then a bunch of the staffers left the last presidential election? That's LA.
I do recall that. I don't recall if it was the LA Times, but people were not thrilled. What was your experience, Jeff, with Truth Mode?
With Grok. So basically with Grok, I kind of thing. Basically you tell your prompt, hey, cite your sources, provide at least two sources from different perspectives, investigate bias before answering and flag the bias in the answers. Basically it says separate fact versus narrative. So, list facts at the beginning and then, kind of give both cases and sides and narratives. I gave it a little bit of a politically charged story, the Nick Shirley fraud investigation, because I do love a good fraud investigation. And he's got his California video out now, which is like the epicenter of apparently every hospice provider in the US is in LA County in a rundown motel building is what it looks like. And so anyways, like it was interesting because, his video, they flagged, okay, he has a bias and this, that, and the other. But then CBS News did the same investigation, included, 90 companies. And, they view CBS, I know, Bob, you don't view it this way given the Barry Weiss change, but they view CBS as a left-leaning publication. So I don't know, allsides.com, I guess, quoted them as that. And then they cite some government sources as well. So it tried to go to like find a few government sources, a source from the left and what it considered the right, or what it considered the left and the right, and then tried to kind of jive the whole narrative together. And
So was it trying to be balanced or was it trying to be fact forward?
I mean, because it's in its view, CBS is left leaning. I mean, again, also
Yeah. I'm curious what the algorithm was trying to do, right?
It is left leaning. We can all debate, but it found some source, and I think like. To me, LLMs are very good aggregators of stuff and regurgitators of that stuff. Like they do good jobs at that. That's what they do, all the time. So I do think there's something to be said for the fact they can go grok a lot of, different sources and concepts and put them in some kind of summary that is pretty unbiased. Now, the problem is it leaves it up to the user to go to those sources and those, claims and go investigate everything, which is something that you just wish you didn't really have to go do. But
you just kicking the can down the road though in that scenario where it's like, okay, like this claim is based upon this cited source. That's cool. But now I got to go validate if this cited source is right. Like all we've done is kick the can down the road.
Yeah. I mean, it gives it an overall rating at the end, but it's just eventually at the end of the day, it's, its overall rating is going to be some.
Have you kind of used it just off and on over the week at all?
So I haven't
just the Nick Shirley.
I should actually throw a few other interesting politically charged posts at it, but
I wouldn't even do that. Put in a straight news story, right?
Yeah.
Or put in
You're saying put a specific story rather than just like a name or a topic?
No, I copy and paste an article from CNN, for example.
Wait, the entire article?
The whole thing. I
Okay.
Command A and then I Command F or V to paste it, and I say run, and it comes back. It knows I like dashboards, so it comes back with the whole dashboard about like, here's how it's broken down, and I'll be happy. I'll share it with you guys. It's really interesting, and it does a pretty good job being like, okay, this is an opinion piece, right? It can tell the difference. This is an opinion piece, right? And then so it's all opinion, so it scores low on the credibility and stuff like that. But it's interesting. It can do that because it's kind of almost a factual, like a graduate student, English student could sit down and do this, right? I'll be like, all right, this is a claim, this is an inference, all that crap.
Effectively trying to like Snopes it, or well, whatever Snopes used to be. I don't know what Snopes is nowadays, but yeah, it's effectively trying to like, give both sides of it.
No, because I think there was some of that a little bit, but I think I kept it very evidence-based. I didn't tell it to be balanced. I told it to be factual. And there's a big difference, right?
Interesting.
Going back to your opinion thing, Bob, I really like how on MS Now they put opinion in the top left of all of the articles that are opinion articles, which I do like because I go into that article with a little bit of a different frame of mind, knowing it's an opinion piece rather than it's just like a reported story. And then one other question, Jeff, as a novice here with some of the lingo, like a novice to AI stuff and everything, did you mention ALMs? What are those?
LLMs, sorry.
LLMs.
Yeah, the frontier large language models. So
okay, I've heard large language
ChatGPT, Grok, Claude. Yeah, just the massive things running on AI compute data center, NVIDIA GPUs.
What was your experience with trying to find truth mode?
With the homework?
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting. Okay. So I just typed in like, tell me how to train my dragon, how to train my AI to be a non, whatever. And then I compiled a couple different ones that I found on Reddit that people said they were using to try to train their AI to be the non-judgy deal. So the prompt I came up with, I said, act as a senior investigative journalist with 20 plus years of experience in crime reporting, legal journalism, and fact-checking. Core rules: absolute factual accuracy only, zero speculation, no assumptions. If facts are disputed or unclear, explicitly say so. Never invent details. And so the topic that I want to investigate, it was a story that came across my feed because I get a lot of labor stuff. I have no idea if either one of you have heard of the story, but the U.S. Secretary of Labor, this woman, Lori Chavez de Reamer, is being accused of using taxpayer funds for personal reasons. So I asked the prompt, I put that in as the topic to investigate, and I said, create a complete chronological and verified report.
And what did you think of the output?
It was good, but it was really interesting. So it's like, here's everything. There are allegations are clearly identified as such. No findings have been published from the IG. And so first it just gives you the here's what we compiled as of today's date.
Yep.
And what's nice is with everything that it mentions, it does cite the source there and just tells you who it is. So it's interesting when you come across ones like I've heard of The Hill before. I've read The Hill, but I see HR Brew. I'm like, never heard of HR Brew before. But it was very explicit as saying like, these are allegations. Like no one's gone to jail. No one's been arrested. And
Nobody's even arrested or charged or anything?
No, some people lost their jobs. I mean, it's a juicy story where she got accused of using taxpayer money to throw herself a birthday party, but she told everyone, let's just tell everyone it's a swearing in ceremony so we can use taxpayer dollars to pay for it. And of course, she can't just have it at that, just to have a cake and blow out a candle. And of course, people talk. And also, I guess she's just flying to places and trying to make it it's saying it's for business, but it's always to places where she has friends and long connections and supposedly drinks in the office and all this stuff. Husband is sexually assaulted.
Work travel.
That's a good one. I like that.
What?
Yeah, her husband's banned from the building. It's so good. I can't get enough of this one.
All right, well, keep us up to date on that one as the stories develop.
Keep us on the late breaking updates there, Phil. That's definitely not on my feed, so I do appreciate you bringing that to my attention.
No problem.
What? So, what do you guys think? Can this be a tool that helps us break out of this corporate media mainstream?
It'll tell you both sides. My assessment is it'll tell you both sides because it's a regurgitator, but it's not going to take a side, right? So I mean, it's not officially going to take a side.
That's funny because like it seems that mine was more about almost grading the journalist. Like, okay, what are verifiable facts, right? And it actually will go off and look and say, like, I'm able to verify that, right? Like, it'll go off and these are very basic factual things, right?
I don't know. It's like I struggle with like it's definitely going to give you. So like I just put in a recent one I found on CNN, like you did, Bob, and like the Palestinian woman that I think she was at one of the rallies that got arrested at Columbia University, and she was detained for the last year. And they talk about the case and both sides of it, but like all I got out of it was like, okay, I got a theory from both sides. It explained which narrative each side was giving.
Do you think that's a prompt issue or do you think that's a Grok issue?
I mean, how is it going to know, AI? I mean, I know Claude thinks that they're at AGI right now, but like AI, how does it know what's true, right? Because it's going to regurgitate, but it's not yet.
Well,
tell you what's more probabilistically, maybe based on like an algorithm. Like, okay, I saw this in 5 places, that in 2, but then
I'll tell you what, we did a dramatic rewatching of the Indiana Jones trilogies in my house. And one thing I found particularly interesting is in Raiders of the Lost Ark, when you first, after all the excitement with the boulder, spoiler alert, he's a professor, he's teaching a class, and he basically says, whatever, it's an interesting, check it out, but this is archaeology 101. This is a search for fact. If you want truth, philosophy's down the hall with Professor Green, right? Which it's like, oh yeah, that is the difference between truth and fact, right? Like a fact is indisputable and verifiable. The truth is in many cases personal,
Yeah.
And that goes into belief and all that kind of stuff. But I thought that was a super interesting, kind of a throwaway line there in the movie, but it really caught me as relevant.
That's why I don't know that AI can, it's not like, it's not going to act as a Supreme Court justice, weighing the evidence. I mean, it can do legal stuff and say this thing is in precedent, and so it applies here. But I don't know about like truths. Like if it's trying to seek the truth that you would believe, then yeah, I think AI can definitely do that. Like it can be.
Try it. What is an example of the truth you want to believe?
I mean,
like,
it can tell you exactly
sound like a
what
fact.
Here, you don't know how many times I talk to it, and it's like you're the smartest. Wow, this is an amazing idea. I mean, it's very self-affirmative. Or like,
yeah, don't go away.
Yeah.
Did I hurt your feelings? I would never do that.
Oh, yeah.
You guys ready to do some tweets of the week?
Yeah.
Right. Before we get to that, just really quick.
Yeah, shoot.
So But like Jeff, in the example you gave there of that last story that you fed in there
Yeah.
and what it gave you back, like,
Yep.
and saying, it didn't really like make a, decision or have like
It
an
was he
opinion
said. That
type.
was she said. He said. Right. Effectively, the administration said. She said. And it's like.
So yeah, my thing would be, and I'll be a little all over the place here, but it's like, what are we looking for there? Is someone saying that she was in jail for a year and someone saying it wasn't that long, and
No,
we have no way to
all fact.
verify that?
That's all
So
verified. She
that's
was
the fact.
detained for a year. The sides of it are, her side is she was targeted for a peaceful, nonviolent protest. Their side is she was in the country illegally and supporting, basically,
Those are both facts,
yeah.
right?
So I mean, it's but well,
Mm,
yeah. I mean, that's
if
all.
she was targeted, that could be opinion.
Yeah, targeted's an opinion thing, right? So I mean, targeted's kind of an opinion. Whether or not she says she was targeted, they say she wasn't targeted. She was.
Well, the fact is that she said she was targeted, not that she was targeted. It's that she
Yes,
said she
that's
was
true.
targeted.
It is a fact. She said that.
You know what I mean? And I think there's so often across the board, and I'm as guilty as anybody, when you see, she said, quote, you read that quote is like, oh, that quote must be taken as a statement. When in
Yeah.
reality, it's just all I'm reporting is she says some dumbass shit. I'm
Yeah.
not validating it or invalidating it, but just report and maybe that's a journalistic problem. If you're reporting on what somebody says, I don't need you to be a tape recorder. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
you're not adding any value in that scenario.
I know. So, like, if you look at the reports, it's CNN. Zoe lady published kind of an opinion piece. Obviously, she had a, spin on why she was totally supporting the lady that was detained. But then the rest are just AP News, Reuters, BBC. Then there was an NYT and a Fox News article. It's not really like anybody's getting to the bottom of anything.
Well, and that
So
brings me to the whole reason for it is when we're looking for news, are we looking for like just pure unadulterated truth, or are we looking for, or are we looking to get validated in certain areas and stuff? And that's what I'm thinking of when you're talking about that story. It's like, am I coming to that story looking for, the answer or all the truth, or do I want to hear stuff that I like to hear based off of my political leanings and stuff like that?
Yeah. Or two sides that contradict each other, and I'm left, half a dozen in one, half a dozen in the other. I don't know.
so here's my take on
Well,
can on
do you think we
can
want an answer, or do you think we want all the facts and leave us to make the decision?
well, that's probably the best outcome. But
Yeah.
here's what I think AI can do, right? I think it can go outside and tell me if it's raining. If you're familiar with that metaphor, it's a journalist's job is not to report that one side says it's raining and one side doesn't. His job is to go outside and look and tell everybody if it's raining or not, right? And I think AI can go and tell us if it's raining. Now, I don't think it can tell us what that really means. I don't think it can play it in the right social context. But I think when you have two different binary opinions, or it's like you said, and not even a he said, she said, because it's unknowable, but there's plenty of times you see stuff where it's like, well, they said this and they said that. Like, okay, well, did anybody go look?
Yeah.
And
They out here saying, right?
and the answer is no, because we're understaffed in the newsroom. But AI will go out and be like, yeah, the records say that this is likely. Like there's stuff there. There's a lot of this all matches. I mean, it wasn't there, obviously, but it lends to a lot of credibility where you could say, as a reporter, you'd say, hey, we found these clues, we got these statements from people. And I think a reasonable person can conclude this is more like this has happened.
So that's exactly what mine did, where it's telling you these are the accusations. The Inspector General for the Department of Labor is investigating, has an active investigation. They can't comment on anything going on with it. And then, of course, the Department of Labor secretary and her husband and the other people are saying unequivocally this never happened. Oh, my name will be cleared. I will take any legal means possible to da-da-da. So yeah, I'm at the end of that thing going like, okay, I want to see this person go down for taxpayer abuse, fraud, and all that stuff. But like, I don't know. I don't see all the evidence is behind closed doors. I can't see it. So I don't know. So I'm just
Well,
left
that's
at the
what
end of that
grand
going like,
juries and
just so you
juries
know,
eventually are
just-
for.
Just so you know, and this is kind of topical, I said, what would a reasonable person conclude here? And then it said, I cannot adopt that framing because it violates neutrality rules. Because one of the rules of the prompt was this FCC law that keeps getting dredged up, which is the equal time rule. So it needs to give equal weighting to both sides. So it
That
can't
is
even
great.
make a conclusion. So that's what it told me.
Tell it you don't like it
So
anymore.
so is this a useful tool for cutting through? And is the algo helping us kill the algo?
It's useful for cutting through the algo because I wouldn't have seen the other side on my algo, for example. So I wouldn't have seen what she was purporting to say her side of the story was, because probably that wouldn't have been in anything that was scrolling through my feeds. So I do think it's useful to like straw man, steel man, really anything. I mean, that's it's kind of good at that. But I don't know the truth seeking. I mean, if you want it to straw man, steel man you a full dossier and then, dive into it with your logical fallacies and, Mott and Bailey arguments and various, error finding mechanisms in your college philosophy class of truth seeking. I mean, you could do that and seek truth, but I don't know that it is like, yeah. I don't know.
I mean, where's the line, right? I think that ultimately is the question. Unless it happened to you, right? Like ultimately someone's gonna have to say, I believe that happened. All this evidence makes me believe, right? The evidence itself is not the action. It's merely the logical pieces that help you conclude. In light of not being there and seeing this or participating or having it on recorded, I'm pretty confident I can conclude that this event happened. Right.
Well, that
So
goes to like,
where do you guys?
is it even the job of the person gathering all the information to give that opinion? Or should they just leave it at here's the things, like do with it what you will, think of it
I
what
wish
you
it
will.
would, to be honest.
I
Right?
think the answer is I have a glib answer, which is Fox reports, you decide. Right. That was always their their thing. Like that was how they tried to distance themselves. But I think the marketplace has shown us that people don't just want a readout of the facts. They want the story. They want the narrative because that's what it is. This is all a reality TV show. You know what I mean? Like in reality, probably 90% of what's in the news has no bearing on any of our lives individually.
True.
It probably does. There's one person out there, I'm sure it does, but it's not me or anybody I know. So it's really just gossip. It's right. That's really what the news is. And so people want good guys and bad guys, and they want a team to root for. And here we are. I think that's just human nature, and the market just responded to it. I put a post up today on social media, the BBC, from BBC, so let me give it the proper attribution. They talked about how the social media companies, I mean, it sounds obvious, right? But effectively admitted, yeah, engage and enrage is good for business. And so it'll do it. This is related to some of the AI, right? I mean, of course, right? But it's just interesting to be at a point where the social media companies are not even pretending anymore.
It's funny you bring up the BBC. Something came across my feed that claimed, and I didn't fact check it, so I don't know if this is true, that when the bombing started in Iran, that a lot of the BBC stories would say Israel claims, or Iran claims, and they were saying like, oh, they're, pro, Israeli government, pro Zionist type of thing, and can't trust the BBC anymore now.
But yeah, there's a whole asymmetrical war happening here that our buddy's getting his teeth kicked in over. So Jeff, I don't know if I heard you. How can this be used?
Yeah.
The
how
algo
can
can kill
you-
the algo, like irony on irony. Is that
So
that's
I think
kind of
that
my conclusion?
I think it actually can. It has some ability to kill your algo, and that it's giving you the other side of your algo. I don't know that it will it's gonna feed you the other side of what you're not seeing on your algo. So I think like it can cut through your algo. I don't know if it kills it, because in your head you're gonna already be spun from seeing 27 scrolls of oh, I probably believe this side or the other.
But yeah,
But
your brain damage is
have an ability.
permanent.
Yeah, it does have an ability to actually show you the other side. So
What about you, Bill? Final thoughts, final conclusion?
Well, from us talking, it almost seems like it would be a real useful tool, but I think people are too lazy to use it because,
there is that.
I mean, already it's like it's tiring to seek out news you want to read, and then all of a sudden you read it and you're like, oh, do I really have to fact check this before I go to a friend and they tell me, did you know that's a bogus story type of thing? So, and in this day and age, I don't think anyone's really down for extra work. I mean, you have to take a story from your feed it into your AI that you already had to like train with prompts and stuff, just to try to get something that's going to be both sides of the story, so you can be a more well-informed, citizen and voter and stuff. I mean, just talking about it sounds tiring. It's worth it in my opinion, but it just sounds tiring.
That's a real interesting perspective. And frankly, I understand that too, right? You know, reading something day to day, or especially getting a social media feed, it's exhausting. It takes effort, but I think that's a market opportunity, man.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree.
You know,
Okay.
somebody can figure that out.
Okay.
All right, so let's move on to tweets of the week. I guess I teased mine. Should I just read it here to get us rolling?
Sure.
It is from Bernie Sanders or Larry David, not sure which, but it reads the following: One family, the right wing Trump aligned Ellisons, will soon control, and here's the list: TikTok, CBS, CNN, HBO, Discovery, BET, Cartoon Network, Comedy Central, DC Studios, Fandango, Miramax, MTV, Nickelodeon, Paramount, Pluto TV, Showtime, TBS, the CW, TNT, Warner Brothers, and more. He then goes on to end it with, "This is oligarchy." So, I mean, that's it, right? Anybody, how do you react to that, Jeff? And I'm sure you got Bernie's text in your feed.
Yeah, Bernie's not in my feed. Again, unfortunately for me, my feed is Marco Rubio pictures and a lot of AI.
No Bernie bro stuff.
Yeah, and
But what do you, I mean, forget about
Yeah.
the narrative, or forget about
Yep.
the text itself, but
I don't love the aggregation of all that. I do agree that I mean, we've all seen the local news on YouTube where all the local news channels are saying the same thing.
Sinclair Media, yeah.
Yeah, they're all reading the company line from whatever, like, centrally owned media.
The handbook,
Actually,
I
like,
think.
I actually think like it's very interesting to read just like random papers from random towns sometimes. Like when I'm traveling, I'll try to pick up
Totally.
like a paper, and some towns, like a tiny town, has one or two actual reporters that write real stories. It's pretty amazing in some cases. But yeah, I mean it's frustrating because I think they're obviously a consolidation of message and power obviously means that, you know, the company line's gonna get touted across those platforms pretty heavily.
Well, that goes back to, I don't see any relief on the horizon for this fundamental problem.
No. That's a big problem in LLMs too. I mean, like in LLMs, like effectively the large social media companies are all, largely in the LLM games, from either owning and
Well,
LLMs.
we definitely can have a deep dive at a later time about, so we think our algos can kill our algos. Wait a minute. Our algos are owned and controlled by like six guys, right?
Yep.
Like that's
Sam,
problematic too.
Elon, Zuck, that's about it. And then
Yeah,
Sergey.
right. So that's a whole different issue.
Whole different.
Bill,
And the Chinese with Kimi models and Quen open source models. Yes.
okay. Thanks for taking us to the deep end. Oh, tweet of the week. What do you got?
Well, it's funny every time I see that as part of our deal. I don't go on Twitter typically, so when I go on it, I just get bombarded with like almost like it's caught up. Oh, I haven't seen you in 3 months. Like here we go. Now it's every week for this. But
Well, recall, tweet of the week doesn't actually have to be a tweet.
It doesn't have to be from
text.
Twitter.
It's just a social post from anywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
okay, I like that. I like that. But when I was on there, literally everything in my scroll was about AI. It's like, oh, didn't go to college? No big deal. AI, I'll do the da da da. It was like every single thing was like an AI deal. I couldn't believe it.
Labor algorithm getting pounded with AI stuff.
No, because that's not
An education solution.
it's not my works X feed. That's like my personal one or whatever that I set up when I would look at Twitter 10 years ago or whatever. But I did see a real funny one that really caught my eye. And this is in quotations. It's like
You have to cite, give credit to the poster.
it's neat NEET at NEET_soul neat soul. I don't know neat, and they're like they're going to talk about a scenario, and it's someone saying, "Why do you have a gap in your resume?" Question mark, and then the response, "I don't know. Why is there a gap in your staff? Something to worry about?" I was like, "Oh, that's a good one."
That is pretty good. That is good.
I want to is there like a way we can do Parent Trap, but we just switch feeds for the day? Like we should definitely do that.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Totally.
I love that idea. All you gotta do is we just swap
Bill's
passwords.
going to walk out of 2 days of my feed. He's going to be, man, Jeff's going to be unemployed in a year. Look at all these guys. Yeah, he's coming for his job.
We should consider that for homework. That sounds fun. Not this week. I'm busy this week, but in a future week. Jeff, that was hilarious. Hit me with your
The
tweet of
two
the
ones
week.
making the biggest, and I didn't understand this at all, but apparently two ones making the biggest trends are apparently something along the lines of Tucker Carlson's agent of the Iranian government. That's the one making the lines. And then that Trump leveraged him to say that we weren't going to bomb Iran. And then he told the Iranians we weren't going to bomb them. And then we did. Or there's some weird, like, double agent Tucker Carlson conspiracy deep tracks going on. And then,
But hold on, because I got the opposite of that, right? What I got was Tucker Carlson went to the White House and told Trump, "Do not bomb Iran," and then they're like beginning to have a falling out over Iran.
so I got the Trump assured Tucker he wasn't going to bomb Iran. And Tucker apparently had been texting the Iranians, trying to do his own, like, reporter interviews and stuff.
I certainly didn't get that part.
Allegedly, Tucker is the reason that the Ayatollah came out of hiding, and that we. So I don't know. This is where mine's going with it. I cannot make any claims.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
That's just what's been spinning in the.
That one didn't make it over to Blue Cry.
Yeah, it didn't make it over, huh? So
It
yeah, there was
really
that, and then there
didn't.
was a lot of California fraud investigations as those videos are coming out. Just untold amounts of crazy.
Well,
like,
that's
Right.
what I'm, hold that thought, because we'll come back to Pete Hegseth and his $93 billion spending spree, and I'm curious where you're
so
going to
I'm a
end up.
little interested. And then the other thing was
Oh,
Hegseth
I did say hold that thought. I did
So the
say
steak
hold
and
that
lobster
thought.
was interesting because, like, I'm interested. How did that appear on Threads? So on X, it was like, "Hey, these guys are
Okay.
fighting for our country.
You're not
Shouldn't
gonna
we
hold
give
that
them some
thought.
steak and lobster every now and then?" So how did it appear on X or on Threads?
Well, it did the math. It did the math and basically said you could buy every person in America. I don't have the specifics. If you actually wait a second, Bill, hit me
This is
with.
one of those they tricked you, Bob, into giving you math that isn't correct. You got to double check. Sometimes they're like, if Elon just
No,
gave $100,000 to everybody, he'd be able to.
you know what we get over on Threads?
What's that?
That same one, but it's a screenshot and it's you idiots trying to solve it and us being like, I can't believe these are the morons running our country. That's what I get over on Threads.
Sounds yeah.
Billy, what about you? You want to cover some airtime for me while I scroll for this?
Well, we talk about like stuff in the feed type of thing. I had some, or we talk about the narrative trends in our feed. Which one do you want?
Feeds, like, I'm actually
You know
curious on how
what,
some
Bill?
articles appear on
Congratulations, you did it. You bought enough time for me to get to it in my in my Threads account. All right,
Ask you a
Pete
question.
Higgs. This is from Kimmy Elrod. All right, we're gonna go with that. Pete Higgs has spent $15 million on ribeyes at $25 a pound with an 8-ounce serving. That would feed about 1.2 million people.
that math check out? Oh, that's
I don't know.
93 million on ribeyes.
15 million.
I heard it was 22 million. So there's a lot of figures being thrown around. I think
What's
you need
the
to
right? Is the right number anywhere near that?
You should test your neutral prompt.
I was gonna say this is the perfect.
It's the perfect way to test
The
it.
perfect.
Shit, I don't know if I did. It was such a ridiculous, because I figured it'd be like,
Because
no,
the
he
thing is,
spent all
what
that
happened
money
is,
on
like,
stuff.
There was a number on what was spent on some basket of shit, but I think, like, it ended up being less for the food. But anyways, people made of it what they wanted to make of it, right? Like, I think that's generally
Yeah, that's actually right.
yeah, it's real life.
Did we all hit tweets of the week? We did. All right. What else is in your narrative? Oh, so that's the opposite.
Oh,
Sorry,
the
go ahead.
Grammys. The Grammys. The other thing in my narrative is all the rich people with lots of money getting together to tell us all how to, hate rich people with lots of money. Like the self-effacing Grammys debacle. So, did you go to a Grammys party? You went to a Grammys party, Bob? I have not been to a Grammys party.
You're talking about the Oscars.
Oscars. Oh, it's Oscars. Sorry. At this point, I mixed them.
I was with you, Jeff. I was like, oh yeah,
Grammys, Oscars. What is it?
Yeah,
Academy Awards.
yeah, right. The
What
Tonys.
was the big to do at the Oscars? What was the big? Somebody must have taken the stage for 2 minutes to talk about, like, Billie Eilish.
No, it was pretty bland in that regard.
Yeah?
Frankly,
Really,
I was disappointed.
man.
But
So the company
maybe
line.
as soon as maybe they're hearing, maybe they're hearing from the peanut gallery. Maybe they're like, hey, people don't want us to come up here and lecture them, so we're gonna come up. We're gonna thank God and our agent and tell a funny story and then say thank you and get off.
Get the hell off the stage.
Right?
That's what you do.
Cool. All right, that's fine. I can deal with that. Here's the big thing on mine. And Bill, I'd be curious if you get it as well. So every time Trump does something stupid, which of course is about every day or two, there's a tweet that goes out from Speaker Jeffries and Senator Schumer, with their strongly worded text and just getting absolutely ratioed and lit up like the 4th of July by their constituents about like, well, then fucking do something, man. Right? Like, thanks for your strongly worded letter. Like, if only one of you were a congressperson, you know what I mean? And I think that while funny is true, but I think it certainly shows the broader theme in my narrative, which is, people are frustrated. Like, I don't, yeah, you're the minority, fine, but do something, right?
Yeah.
And strongly worded emails don't do it, and they're just getting crushed. And it is a running joke. These guys are. I mean, I'm talking about like, oh, he got 600 likes and 3,000 responses, and each response, the first response has 15,000 likes, right? Like it is murderous.
Bob, I forgot the biggest story across my X feed or whatever is the Washington State. Don't go making too much money over there, Bob, because Washington State newly enacted billionaires tax and Howard Schultz millionaires tax actually, and Howard Schultz left the next day or the day of.
Oh yeah.
Getting released.
Do you want to
Really?
know? Do you want some local? Do you
Just
want some
a
live
coincidence.
local lake breaking news about that here in the
He
local?
found a property the day the tax got enacted.
That's
Nobody cares
fantastic.
here. Nobody cares, right? It's like, thank you for your service. You didn't add anything. We're not going to miss you. See
So
ya.
the additional 10% above $1 million, the theory is the math works out. Like I do.
I have no idea. Unless this podcast takes off, I'll let you know.
So that wasn't on your feed. Was the Washington tax on your feed?
It was on some of the more local aspects of it wasn't on the national stuff. But because
Like
I live in the
10%,
state of
10%
Washington,
above
there was, and I've been
million
to
or
next
something?
door. It was something I was aware of.
Got it.
You know,
You guys were famous for having no state tax, man. I was all in, man. No state.
but I think this is an
Mm.
interesting litmus test, right? Right? Because
It is.
when the billionaires say you can't tax me or I'm going to leave, and then your economy is going to get destroyed and all that kind of stuff, right?
Well, we're gonna. It sounds like we're gonna find out.
Right? And you find out, and guess what happens? It doesn't.
I guess we'll find out. I mean,
Right?
California's. The problem is that there is a truism to the other side of that, which is that people with means tend to be able to be pretty mobile. So in terms of
Yeah, but
it's month.
like, what's not mobile? A highly educated workforce, right?
Sure.
Like that's not mobile. Like
But
Elon can go post up in Texas and
Yeah.
do whatever he wants there. But if he wants the best of the best, they're still going to be in the Silicon Valley.
yeah, I mean, there's
Right?
something, but I think that it's
So
yeah.
what? So I don't care where you personally go. If you're cooking the books, you pay no taxes on
I
your
think-
billions. What exactly are you offering the community? What are we going to miss? Like your jobs are going
Yeah.
to stay. You can't even threaten jobs anymore. It's like they're not going.
But
with
can't you in theory just move the headquarters that maybe you have a sprawling
all have-
campus? I could just move it into like the tiniest office on Market Street in San Francisco and say that's my headquarters, but keep the base where all the intellectually stimulated people you're talking about, Bob. That
Yeah, they
are
generally
hanging
do that. So we're
Exactly. But that's my point is like, okay, cool. And by the way, we just raised $40 billion for the state thanks to this. And we're going to fund, I mean, I don't know what the right number is, right? But like, oh, we scared away the billionaires. Like maybe that's not that big a deal. Well, that's only half the equation. The other half is the taxes that we're generating from the ones
in
who
your
stay.
state, it's millionaires. So as Bernie would say, the millionaires and billionaires. In your state, you went millionaires. In California, they went
Yeah.
billionaires.
Well, you get my point though, right? It'll be interesting. I mean, what's going on in New York with the mayor there?
Yeah.
I think that's the future of the Democratic Party.
I think it is. And I think I mean, again, nobody really wants to pay for
It's not Schumer and his goddamn fucking emails. I'll tell you that.
Well, once again,
It's like somebody has to do something. I'm like, yeah, somebody does.
I mean, it's a scare
Right.
tactic, the billionaires movement. It's the same thing where all the money that got thrown towards trying to not have the minimum wage for fast food workers in California raised to $20 an hour. And everyone was saying, oh, if that happens, 40% of the fast food restaurants in the state are going to close their doors and never come back and da-da-da. Hasn't
I
happened.
will say I've gotten less positive experiences at fast food places in California than any other state, and it's noticeable. Like when I go to a Burger King in California, there's one person and a bunch of robots in the kitchen. When I go to a Burger King in another state, there's like a clean eating area. Like it's kind of noticeable. Like
Wow, interesting.
yeah, it's skeleton crew. It's like the bots in the kitchen and a couple people taking orders. Like it's pretty light staffed.
Should we talk doggy
It's fine.
daycare? Dog corner?
Doggy daycare. My dog, he was left for 10 hours alone yesterday while I was at the 16-year-old's birthday party. And he left his mark all over my office. Apparently, I'm interesting food, and that didn't sit well with him. So I'm now going to be steam cleaning my car.
But you know, he walked across the house to get to your office.
He walked through every possible place that he could have done that, and decided to really.
And he probably was like, hold on, let me wait an hour and I'll come back. I really want to get the job done right.
Yeah. Yep.
Billy, tell me about Orla.
She jumped in the pond on her walk. Our dog walker will usually just send pictures during the week, and this time he's like, "Oh, Orla found the water. Sorry." We're like, next day, like, oh, she really likes that water. Oh yeah, she's a golden retriever. She likes to swim.
Nice.
So speaking of Goldens, my golden bear, his uncle came to visit this weekend, Moose, who now goes by Sloppy Mo in our house, because this dog drinks water. It certainly gets more on the floor than it gets in its mouth. It is unbelievable. And the noise, it seems like somebody's mocking a slurping noise. I can't even do it justice, nor will I. And so that's Sloppy Mo. But Sloppy Mo and Bear love to wrestle, and these two boys love to hump each other. And it is it's a real interesting watch. Oscillate from this is gross and disgusting to get them, guy, show who's boss, but because that's what it is, right? It's they're all trying to figure out who's the alpha dog.
Yeah, trying to dominate.
They haven't figured it out in 4 years. I don't understand. They continue to it's great though. I don't have to walk them as much. They go for a walk. They sleep for freaking half the day after wrestling for 2 hours. What a mess.
This stuff happens on islands.
We forgot to talk homework. I'm going to assign homework. The homework's going to be use your AI truth engine for the week.
Nice. We'll do.
Let's refine it in a way that you want to. Put your personal touches on it.
Apply it to some of the most interesting politically charged articles.
Really quick. I just want to go down my list really quick of my narratives and stuff that was in my feed to see if any of it was in either one of your two feeds.
Thank you, Bill. Please do.
Okay. Did you see any of these alleged videos? I didn't do any fact checking of the Doge Bro depositions.
Yes.
Okay. Now, next one. Have you seen the story? Apparently, again, didn't fact check it. There's a deep fake AI hot MAGA soldier that was able to trick a bunch of MAGA people into sending donations.
Yes.
It's just some hot looking soldier. Okay. Yes. No.
There's a reason why I say yes.
Okay. Next. Okay, now away from kind of the slimy stuff, and then I'll come back to it. Dark money influencers are trying to influence a congressional primary in Chicago. Apparently, they're this one group because they don't want the progressive to win. So they're offering influencers, here's $1,500 if you'll read this script on your thing. And it's kind of making questions and stuff about the progressive in the hopes that they lose the primary.
Oh, I see that all the time. It's this there's a whole profession on this.
Okay, this is the first I'd ever seen it or heard of it.
Well, you've seen it a bunch. Anytime that random person you follow randomly talks about oh, that's a really good show, you guys should check it out, right? They're being paid.
Yeah. No. Oh yeah, I know about that. But we're talking politics, not a show or a candy bar. This is
but we're talking politics, right?
Just because I had to, I'm bringing you the truth because we know the only place I did it one for the team. I signed up for Truth Social, and it's
thank you.
Only Truth.
Yes, Jeff. Thank you. The editing on this is going to be tremendous.
So far, with no followers on Truth Social or following nobody, Trump is pretty ever present in my thread. Got a lot of from the president posts that are also reposted on X, and a lot of praise for Sean Hannity. And what else do we got? It's a lot of Donald posts and White House posts. I haven't followed anybody.
How much money are they asking each post?
There's so listen, I'm gonna take one for the team to start. I'm gonna start watching Newsmax and but
then on or whatever. One America.
Pop a gummy bob and hit the InfoWars.
Be careful wading in those waters, man. I don't want to lose you, all right? I can't swim in those waters and pull you out.
The only network with truth in its name, so I'm gonna have to go dive deep and take one for the team here.
That's good. What else was in your feed, Bill? Anything else we missed? I love this segment. We're going to be doing it every week.
But just quick, I want to know if it was in either one of yours. The U.S. Health Department was able to delay like an international measles meeting because they found out that their measles elimination status was going to get revoked. And so they postponed the meeting till after the midterms.
I think I saw that, but it was not highlighted, and I 100% believe that. I give that 0 puffs of smoke.
0.
The Department of Justice just came out and was restoring gun rights to certain ex-felons. This is an NPR article.
No.
One of them is, you haven't seen either one of these? Yeah, that's, run that one through your, I'd really like to see what your prompt would do for that one. Yeah, I guess like, and then I can't remember now kind of the specifics, but there was one or two politicians that shouldn't not be carrying a gun again, that all of a sudden they're going to get to do it again. What's the other one? Oh, the Doge was really getting rid of all those workers so that they could replace them with a MAGA deep state. That was an MS Now article.
Let's get into conspiracy corner. That's interesting.
That was
Should we go
Steve
to
Miller.
conspiracy corner, guys? We can run late, but we can go to conspiracy corner.
I gotta have to dinner, and I don't have any great conspiracies, but I will prepare a better conspiracy for next week. I do think we definitely each need to bring conspiracy of the week.
Yeah, I love that.
Actually,
like
I already
that.
brought one. The Tucker Carlson as a Iranian double agent used by Trump to kill the Ayatollah.
Here's my conspiracy corner. My conspiracy corner is super quick. My conspiracy corner is Benjamin Netanyahu is dead.
Wow. Oh, okay. Conspiracy corner. I like that.
And they've been using AI, and they're all about like how many fingers does he have and stuff. And then there was another, like, over the weekend, then Benjamin Netanyahu posted a picture of himself at like the Starbucks or something like that with all 10 of his fingers. But of course, well, wait a minute.
Yes.
How is that one real? You know?
Before I get yelled at for not grabbing the dinner, my wife's imminently finishing cooking. Do you guys remember the movie Dave, where was that the movie where the president died and they replaced him? Was that the one?
With
Kevin Kline.
with like an actor. Yeah.
How easy would that be with AI now? Like, you could probably still execute orders with Trump AI, like, a deep fake voice, over any secure channel, as you would never know, right? Like,
You would never know. That's why you got to get back to the, Zulu Alpha Bravo. That's the launch codes. I concur.
Like
personal,
like
personal identifiers. There has to be some unique personal identifiers.
Biometrics. Well, they got biometric, but yeah, I guess.
So the G.I. Joe movie, live action movie that came out, I think told us how it was going to go down. The guy was able to, they kidnapped the president, and the other dude came in, and they were able to put like some sort of mask on that looked just like him.
And fake the biometrics and everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Telling about it.
That also happened in Mission Impossible, a movie geared towards
That's a mask they have to build in the machine. This is like nanobots or something living on the dude's face. I don't know.
Your situation's not improving.
And maybe the homework should be to watch that G.I. Joe movie. Okay.
There we go. I like that homework.
I'll put it in the queue.
All right, Jeff, get to dinner.
Thank you, guys.
Let's get to dinner. We'll talk to you guys in a bit. Enjoy bed.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.